Maraming salamat at magandang umaga po sa inyo lahat. Thank you for having me here. Yusek Louis Casambre, ASEC, Mr. Don Di Mapa, my former boss. Sa lahat po sa inyo, isang magandang umaga at maraming salamat sa inyong pagdalo. You know, this has been a talk at the town for the last couple of days, couple of weeks. And it's very good and very timely that a forum like this has happened. And we get to talk about the meat and potatoes of what anti-cybercrime really is all about. And at the end of the day, it's about technology. And we talk about technology in the sense that we talk about a lot of other things that it can be used for both good and bad. Parang kotse. You know, when they came up with the car, they said that you could use it to go from point A to point B, or you could use it to run over someone. It really depends on who's driving the vehicle. So who's driving technology, and what are the guidelines that are put in place to make sure that you use it to go from point A to point B rather than running over people. The anti-cybercrime law, as we've said before, this is my personal opinion, and I've stated this time and again, was antiquated even before we wrote it. No? And that's because that's the world we live in. Talagang ang bilis ng pagbabago. And if you are going to count on the laws to catch up with technological change, you will be sadly disappointed. We're playing catch up here. The laws are only as good as the people who will implement them. And the thing to understand about what these laws are, at the end of the day, pantulong lang to. If you look at technological change, it's really the business models that are affecting industry and the various sectors that make up an economy and the society we live in. Tingnan nyo lang yung nangyayari. I mean, you look at the kind of laws that we put in. Sabi nga doon, merong nag-tweet or nag-post sa Facebook. Sabi, nako, paano yan? And this is for you, Mr. Don Di Mapa. Binabasa ng asawa ko, sabi nung tweet, nako, paano yan? Kailangan na original yung Windows ko. You know, the point of it was that dapat naman, diba? But then again, and I'm not gonna wait for you guys to answer this question, and I don't want you to answer this question. You think about it, who here has not downloaded a music MP3 file? Who here has not used an unlicensed version of software? Babait nyo. But that's the nature of the beast. So even without the law, what has happened? You look at music industry professionals. You look at performance artists. Why are they all of a sudden going all around the world performing in concerts? Kahit dito sa Maynila, bugbog tayo ng concerts. Bakit? Kasi hindi na sila kumikita sa record sales. You look at the software industry, and you look at companies that are pushing what are called free or freemium models. They've changed the ball game. Again, a reminder to software developers, if you are counting on revenue streams simply from the license sales of your software, mahirapan kayo. You have to rethink the industry. Encyclopedia Britannica is printing its last physical encyclopedia this year. Most probably because of a thing called Wikipedia. So it's not the laws that changed things. It was how people were reacting to technology. So I think that's a guideline for everyone to understand that we put laws in place. To a large extent, some of the provisions probably are antiquated, but they do help us guiding us into where the future will be. I guess a few reminders of what cybercrime is and isn't. Now, when we drafted this, and you can see the version of the House and the version of the Senate were quite markedly different. The House probably saw the law very differently from the Senate, and the version that came out was a combination of both. I have to say, as the chair on the House side, not every provision there was to my liking, but that's what you get in a BICAM. Give and take yan. And kaysa lumabas kang obstructionist, meron kang palulusutin at merong hindi. The items that came out and have been talked about extensively, libel. Libel, as far as we knew, was illegal if defined properly in the real world. And so the point of the House was that anything that was illegal in our real world, you move it online, it's the same thing. Talking to ASEC many months before, pinag-usapan namin to, and he was consistent with the position, wag nyo nang lagyan ng particular clause yan dahil makakagulo pa. Tama ka. Because a simple explanation that if it was illegal in the real world, it should be illegal online. And following that, if it is legal in the real world, it should be legal online. So, kung titingnan nyo yung converse nun, walang dapat katakutan. Kung walang mali kayong ginagawa sa real world, huwag kayong matakot na yun rin ang ilabas nyo online dahil wala ring problema. Let me give a case in point, and this is not to make a political dig at my opponents, but to explain why there should be very little to fear from the right implementation of the cybercrime law. Kaya asa sa inyo yan sa mag-i-implement. In the city of Taguig, the nurses at the city hospital were complaining about the mismanagement of that particular hospital, and I think this came out in the news. So one person posted a criticism of the hospital administration and the way the city was handling the hospital. Hindi na po ako yung nagpapatakbo ng Taguig, so hindi po ako yun. And a lot of the nurses, they liked that comment. And as a result, the nurses were relieved in the Taguig City Hospital. Ang sabi ng mga nurses, bakit kami pinalitan? Ba't kami tinanggal? E nung kami nag-like sa Facebook, wala pa naman nung anti-cybercrime law. The reason I'm saying this is because there was no connection between the city's mismanagement and intimidation and harassment of their nurses and the cybercrime law. Walang connection yun. It was the way the city handled the situation, which I think was wrong, but it had nothing to do with the anti-cybercrime law. So it is a brave new world we face. Some of the issues that media and people have raised with the cybercrime law have to be tackled in the implementing rules and guidelines to be prepared. And we would definitely invite media to be part of the development of these guidelines. One particular section I'd like to mention that if taken by itself, nakakatakot nga, nakakagulat. I believe this is section 19, which seems to say that sites can be taken down. So parang SOPA to, parang PIPA sa US, which we were very, very much against. But if you read the whole section, and this is what we have to clarify, that data can be blocked only when it has been, the case has been filed, evidence has been presented, so talagang may violation. Not on the whim of any one person, any one department, any one agency. We were very clear when this bill was being prepared that there have to be proper checks and balances, just as there are in most other things in life. I said it at the start of this introduction, and I'll say it again. Technology is a tool. And as we go into a brave new world, you'll see a very, very different environment for all of us. We've talked about this, we've said this. Kids are not going to get their education in a classroom. People are not going to be working from offices. People are not going to be getting their news or their entertainment from the newspapers or TV in the near future. You won't be using banks for financial transactions. Government will be outsourced. So you're going to see all these changes, and I urge everyone here, when they look at technology as that tool, to use it for good, to use it to make the world a better place. Because as we've seen, at no other time in human history can one person change the world for the better. Sa inyo pong lahat, maraming salamat. Magandang umaga. Buhay po tayong lahat.